nationalize the land, this big 100 hectares of land you have, we don't know if you're supposed to have this land or if you should sharing it with the people. This 10 million rand you're making a month in your mine or in tenders, it's going to be shared with the people. Black people now. Then you move it further down to the upper black middle class, whose kids go to private schools. We're scrapping these private schools. These are all going to be free government schools that use medical aid and private healthcare. You can't use that anymore. You're going to go to Chris Hani Parakwanath. You'll go to Charlotte Maklege. You'll go to whatever spedlela that is available for the public. You'll be there. Are those black people willing to lose their privileges for the greater good? And in those black people, we are speaking Cyril Ramaphosa. We are speaking Julius Malema. Of course, you can add others. Paul Mashatile, Mzwandile Masina, Lebogang Maile, people like Oflo Chibambu, all of them who are living decent lives. I mean, members of parliament earn 100,000 a month. And that's before you look at any other business interests they have, before you look at speaking engagements where they get paid, and any other enterprise that they do. Are they willing to sacrifice that privilege and that comfort? The EFF removed the Sankara oath. If that doesn't speak volumes to Andile Mngxitama, then he might be naive. The EFF removed the Sankara oath, which was saying, if you are going to be a public servant, you will use public infrastructure and public services. Or Julius and them send their kids to private schools, they use private healthcare. What would make them agree to have a coalition with the MK, the EFF, and the MK, the ANC, the EFF, and the MK, and then be like, yeah, we want to move radically left? They wouldn't. It would be naive to think that they would, because if they believed in that, why are they not doing it already as is? There's nothing stopping them from sending their kids to government schools and using government institutions, except themselves. Which means ideologically, from a personal ideological perspective, they do not believe in the infrastructure and services and institutions they govern over. There was a point I wanted to make. Julius and Cyril as a hindrance. I may have lost my point. Andile mentioned something about the economy and the transformation. And I mean, Shanduga will have to be split up. Abo Mvela Panda, Batokyo Sehwale, you look at a group like Pembani under Putuma Nhleko, you look at a group like Pamodzi, African Rainbow Minerals, etc., etc. With those black people, who of course white people selectively chose to be a buffer, would those people be comfortable to lose their privileges? And some of the black people who live quality lives today, who would probably have to lose some of their salaries for the benefit of the majority of people. And again, there's no proof that if we nationalize everything, the country will be run better, because we've got a government with 2 trillion budget that is struggling to show us a prototype for public healthcare, a prototype for public schooling that the upper middle class and the rich can buy into. White people and handpicking, I know it's something Andile Mngxitama spoke about. White people and handpicking. He spoke about, maybe I can speak about this, he spoke about black unity and how there's a threat to black unity, and rich white people are constantly planning in advance. And part of it is fragmenting the black vote, because there's this argument for black unity. Black unity has never existed. I just need to say this first. You go historically. You had AmaZulu, MaXhosa, Besotho, Matswana, Mandebele, Maswati, etc. Now, even if you deep dive into AmaZulu, before Shaka consolidated them, Bekonomthethwa, Onxumalo, fast forward to political activism. You had an ANC, you had the PAC, you had AZAPO, you had the IFP later on. You had these black political parties that were also fragmented. Fast forward post-1994, post-apartheid. You've got the ANC, you've got the IFP, you've got the UDM. Later on, you'd have COPE. Then you'd have Agang. Then you had a breakaway of the EFF. Today, we've got ATM. We've got Ace Magashule's ACT. Where Tutuzane Zuma's AGC, all game changers, even though it's deemed non-racial. We had the PLF, Black First, Land First. And today, Jacob Zuma now comes with the MK. They've already fragmented. They could easily be like, we believe in black unity. We will all go and jump on the ANC ship. But they haven't. They broke away. They fragmented but then they claim that they want to have a coalition and come together. There's never been black unity. There's a clash of ideologies, unfortunately. There are black people that believe in capitalism. There are black people that believe in socialism. There are black people that believe in a pro-black agenda. There are black people that believe in a non-racial agenda. There are black people who are Christian. There are black people who believe in African spirituality. There are black people who think white people should be removed from South Africa. There are black people that love having white people here. We can go on and on. Black people are not one homogenous group. The idea of black unity with an MK, EFF, ANC, and maybe you bring in an ATM, maybe even a UDM, etc. Getting those people to sit together and decide on one agenda where Cyril is a billionaire. Jacob Zuma's got this beautiful compound in Kandla, but for all intents and purposes, he doesn't have much money. Andile Mngxitama, we don't think he has a lot of money. Vuyo Zungula the same. Then you've got other leaders sitting there who don't have money, and Cyril must lose his billions for the benefit of... I don't see it happening. Just at a political leadership level. Before it gets to the people on the ground. Now, part of it is Rebecca Oppenheimer funding Songezo Zibi's Rise Mzansi. Another fragmentation, and this is more central. So I spoke about left, I spoke about right. There are people that are kind of in the center. They kind of understand the socialism look. Some people can't afford, some people need a bit of assistance and help, some social welfare. Then there are people that also kind of understand the right. You know, I like the idea of private property. If I work hard, I get incentives and a bonus. I can be rich kind of situation. So about Rise Mzansi sit there. Someone like Musi Maimani's Build One South Africa, Bossa sits there. Herman Mashaba's action essay claims to be central, or not, rather Herman Mashaba claims to be a capitalist, so he should be an extreme right, but I'd like to think Action SA is more of a centrist party. But these are black parties or black-led parties. Herman Mashaba, Musi Maimani, arguably even though he's colored, Gayton Mackenzie's Patriotic Alliance, Vuyo Zungula's ATM. These are parties that are already fragmented. What would make them come together? To dethrone white people and the DA? A lot of these people are funded by, live in the neighborhoods with, their kids go to the same school as, they are friends of the same people. Even if the ANC went to 40%, the EFF got 15, which takes it to 55. MK gets 10, which takes it to 65. Sizwe Mpofu spoke about this. And then you have an ATM, UTM donating some of their votes. Maybe they go all the way to 70%. The idea of all of these guys sitting together like a black African leadership CODESA and saying, we will change the constitution and we will expropriate without compensation. Herman Mashaba won't agree with that. Musi Maimani won't agree with that. Cyril Ramaphosa won't agree with that. Julius Malima's EFF manifesto is now starting to change its words, like Animal Farm. In Animal Farm, they've got this charter for the animals, which changes over time. There was nationalizing. Now the EFF manifesto is about nationalizing certain segments of the economy and allowing other businesses to carry on going. Nationalizing certain land and no longer nationalizing all land. It's looking a bit blurry all of a sudden. It's like the Mandela effect. I thought they wanted everything, but now they only want some things. And if Julius gains more power, next thing it's, no, but you must have a PhD to sit in parliament. But at some point it failed woodwork. At some point he was pushing for decolonization. Now it's like, but where's your qualification coming from? It's all very hazy. And we may see more haziness. The same way we saw with the ANC during the struggle. They come into power, they come into CODESA. All of a sudden, nationalization's been parked. All of a sudden, expropriation without compensation has been parked. All of a sudden, some of their leaders are millionaires, billionaires. Umamlindi Sisulu speaks about this. You become a multimillionaire, billionaire overnight. What have you built? What would stop Julius Malema and those guys becoming that? And maybe this is an important point. The political leaders in South Africa, by and large, do not care about the masses of the people. They are there to serve themselves first and foremost. You don't have to go far. You see it in their actions and their behavior. Nelson Mandela, under the ANC and with Umkhonto we Sizwe as the guerrilla arm, gets into some type of leadership between 1990 and 1994. And already he's spending time with Doe Steyn, who's an insurance multi-billionaire mogul, creator of Steyn City. He's sitting with the Oppenheimer family. Some of these families are funding his daughter's weddings. He's moving into Houghton, a very affluent suburb in South Africa and in Johannesburg. For all intents and purposes, he's living a wealthy white person's life. It's the same person that was a guerrilla fighter, was willing to die, for nationalization and the like, and revolution. You look at Cyril Ramaphosa, who was also a part of that same ANC, qualified, I think, as a lawyer, gets into power, leads one of the biggest labor strikes in the country with the National Union of Mine Workers. Next thing is chairing the BEE Commission. Next thing is built Shanduka, and he's a billionaire. And now he's president and he's rich. He's got game farms. He has buffaloes. He's got Ankole cattle. He's wealthy. He's supplying coal to Eskom, but he's also meant to be seeing what's going wrong at Eskom. Him and his brother-in-law are going to be supplying alternative renewable energy with a broken Eskom. He works with Glencore, which is a huge rogue capitalist company. Julius Malema, even under the ANC Youth League, was already involved in business in various ways. Owns farmland, I think, in Limpopo, doing business, involved in certain tenders, working with business people. Even when he sets the EFF, he attracts the likes of Adriano Mazzotti, who's a controversial businessman, I believe, under tobacco and other spaces. All of a sudden, like Nelson Mandela is living in Hyde Park. His kids are going to private schools. He's wearing fancy branded clothing. You don't have to go far to see that these people are about serving their interests. They may speak on behalf of the people. They may do some projects on behalf of the people, host a bash, host a soup kitchen, do a cleanup drive. Those things are very nice optics. But the reality is the places they come from. I mean, Cyril is from Chawelo, if I'm not mistaken, in Soweto. Malema's from Sishego. Umandela's from Unu, Mthatha, close to Mthatha. Uzuma becomes one of the guys that's celebrated because of Inkandla. But you also look at the state of Inkandla. And Inkandla votes for Inkatha Freedom Party. They don't vote ANC. These people are very much self-serving. So with that, we'll call it an assumption. With that assumption that these guys are self-serving, is it not that they're constantly looking for the best deal? If Andile Mngxitama and left-wing black political leaders want to woo Cyril, they will need to offer him a better deal than rich, white, Jewish, Afrikaner, and other business people in South Africa. That, look, Chief, we know you've got a relationship with King Charles. We know you've got a good relationship with the Jewish community in South Africa, with the Afrikaner community. We know you have some relationship with the Chinese, some relationships with the Indians, some favorable relationship with Joe Biden and the Americans. But if you side with us, we will become like the Russia of, who was before Putin? Who was before Putin? Was it Boris Yeltsin? I'm not sure. Was it Vladimir? No. Anyways, whoever was before Putin, because there were oligarchs before Putin. When you see your Abramoviches today, your Deripashkas, and those guys today, they were oligarchs before that. If you let us nationalize the country, you will become wealthier than Aliko Dangote. You will become the reimagining of Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man in history and the wealthiest black man. We, as this black unity coalition government, will give you Eskom to be your baby. Eskom will belong to the Ramaphosa family, and you'll be printing billions of dollars every year, supplying energy and having a monopoly on energy in the country and on the African continent. We will give you, Patrice Motsepe, all the major mines. Coal, gold, platinum will be yours. You will be the reimagining of Oppenheimer. You will be 10 times wealthier than the Oppenheimer family in South Africa. You will be J.D. Rockefeller. You, Jacob Zuma, you will become the Rothschilds. We will give you banking. We will give you the South African Reserve Bank. You'll get to run all the banks and you'll get to print money. Yourself, your daughter Tutuzile, your son Tutuzane, you guys will get to run banking. It'll be yours. You, Andile Mngxitama, will give you, because you love the land, we'll give you agriculture. Clover, Afgri, rainbow chicken, ZZ2 will nationalize all of that. It will be yours. You will become the biggest farmer on the African continent. Current beef, all be yours, under you. Anyone who wants to work in agriculture will have to go through the Mnitama family holdings, just like the Van Sale family in Limpopo, just like the Karen family, which owned Karen beef. It's been sold to the PIC. The Clover, like the farmers from Moy River that came together. There are a few things I hate more than phone calls. Hate. And I use my other phone. As a hotspot, as my Wi-Fi spot for this phone. And when people call me, it disrupts my network. It's very frustrating. I hate phone calls for these reasons. You want me to stop everything I'm doing to give you my undivided attention so you can be, hey, how are you doing? Send me a voice note, keep it very short, send me a text. I will respond at my leisure, in my time. I hate phone calls so much. Anyways. So Cyril, Patrice, Julius. Julius now is saying the EFF will go into coalition with the ANC if Floyd Shibambu is made Minister of Finance. And look, it's very malicious, it's very sneaky. But if ever they were to give them, it's because they've got plans of revolutionizing that space so that they can benefit and eat. Because they know the power that people like Trevor Manuel had. Trevor Manuel would go on to chair Old Mutual. He'd go on to sit on the board of the Rothschilds in Switzerland. They know the power that Tito Mboweni had. Tito Mboweni today sits on the advisory board of Goldman Sachs. He sits on property company boards. He's got a very close relationship with the fund sales of ZZ2. So if Floyd Shibambu became Minister of Finance, he would open a lot of gates. I mean, even today, the rich white people I know, they love Enoch Godongwana. It's a very lucrative position. Pravin Gordhan is loved for this very same reason as well. So it's like, make Floyd Shibambu Minister of Finance, and we'll go into coalition chief. So Julius Malema, what deal do they give him? So the banks have been given to the Zumas, the agriculture has been given to Mnitama, the mining has been given to the Mutsipes, energy supply has been given to Ramaphosa. Maybe Julius gets given the tenders. He becomes the reimagining of Brian Joffe and Bidvest. What Bidvest has, Julius becomes that. And not only is he supplying all the security and the cleaning and the toilet paper and all those things, but he also gets the construction tenders. Building a school, building a hospital, building a bridge, all goes through Malema Holdings. You've got these 10 oligarch families that are dollar billionaires, like the oligarchs in Russia, like some of the families that became oligarchs in Japan, the Toyota family, the Mitsubishi family, the Nissan family, the families that built Panasonic and Sony, maybe the families that built Samsung, Hyundai, Kia in South Korea, the families that built BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Puma, Adidas are now brothers, Audi in Germany, the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the J.D. Rockefellers, the Andrew Carnegies, the Benjamin Franklin, the J.P. Morgans of America. It's like you can become that. You will live forever in history as becoming one of the wealthiest families of all time. Our Cyril are willing to sit on boards where they don't really do much, but they become rich. So what would stop them from being a custodian of wealth somewhere and owning not just Sundowns, not just the Blue Bulls rugby team, but you can own Barcelona. You can own Real Madrid. You can own Chelsea. You can own Man City. You can even put in a bid for the Los Angeles Lakers, the Chicago Bulls. You can own Formula One racing companies. Whatever you want to imagine, it's yours. You can own a chunk of Silicon Valley. It's yours. Waiting beyond that beach. Immortality. Take it. It's yours. Yield. And we become left and we remove white people. And we claim to be a socialist communist state like China, which is not really a socialist communist state, but it looks like that for the people. But there are billionaires where Jack Ma, the guy who was the main shareholder and the founder of Tencent, would reach. Some of the other wealthy families in China. Maybe that would be the same point, because if you're not going to offer them that, wealthy white people, the ones that I've already mentioned, Cyril, maybe Malema, Motsipe, all of them have very comfortable, cozy relationships with them. And their relationships extend beyond South Africa and the African continent. These guys have got really, really great networks across the globe. The Oppenheimers, the Ruperts are respected globally. I mean, Johann Rupert has got a close relationship with the Rothschilds. They have their own wine, Rupert and Rothschild. He's got a close relationship with the wealthiest families through his company, Richemont, the second biggest luxury goods company in the world, after LVMH, which on and off wealthiest man in the world, Bernard Arnault, owns LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy. Then you get Richemont, Mont Blanc, Dunhill, all these other brands that Johann Rupert has under there. They've got a deep network globally. So why would you not want to keep that relationship and just try and grow in it? Why would you want to start with these fumbling black people that are struggling to even take over this puzzle shop industry, or to formalize the taxi industry, or to be able to formalize farming, or get into mining? You want to fumble around with these people? Jacob Zuma got spat out. People like Steve Biko, people like Chris Hani were murdered. Winnie Madikizela died a very sad woman because of the sellout that she watched. Why must I work with you guys when my life is so great? I'm Cyril, I'm Patrice. What can you offer me that's better? Really, that I also cannot get myself with these white people that love me, and the global people that also love me and are willing to use me. Because you guys also want to use me, let's be honest. You're also trying to use me as Cyril for your own ambitions. Julius wants to become Oppenheimer. Zuma wants to become Rupert. But they're already there and they already like me. So why would I want to help you guys? These guys have already established industries. Historically. They've got historical networks. You guys still have to start from scratch and go and build those relationships in the Middle East, in Dubai, and in China, and in America. Oh, so much work, bro. I'm running out of time. I'm an old man myself. Maybe Tutuzane and Andile Ramaphosa can have these chats. But Tina is Badala Bafritu. Tutuzane Zuma, Andile Ramaphosa, and Ubani Ntwana Mutsipe, the one that's chairing Sundowns. Krope or something like that. I'm not sure what his name is. They can have these chats about the future, but for now, so maybe let me shut it down here. I had many other points to raise. Maybe I'll raise them in another video. But Andile Mngxitama is a very necessary voice for disenfranchised, oppressed black people in South Africa. I wish he could put in more work in BLF. I wish you could set up something like AfriForum and raise money to fight for black people to gain access to more land, and raise funding to be able to build skills institutions for black people to learn how to farm, to develop property, to set up businesses. I mean, Academia is now going to be launching its third campus, with the help of Solidarity, Afrikaans private institution. It's something to celebrate for the Afrikaner nation. BLF could be that for black people. Andile Mngxitama could be sitting with Umisu Zulu, the king of the Zulus, and seeing how can we exploit Ngonyama trust land for the benefit of Zulu people. And you sit with the kings of KwaXhosa, and you say, how can we use the land for the people and formalize and take over the ports at Gqeberha, the ports in Monti in East London, and go to the Royal Bafokeng and say, I want you guys to build a Royal Bafokeng University that is going to rival UCT. And you go and you sit with other leaders. You go to Lesotho and you say, I'd like to sit with the descendants of the Mshweshwe family and build Lesotho into one of the world's leaders in water, one of the world's leaders in mining. Lesotho has not been exploited in terms of mining. And you carry on doing that and you become a force to be reckoned with. And everywhere across the African continent, you are seen as a reimagining of Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, and other such amazing leaders. Stephen Bantu Biko. Carry on with the work that he was doing with the Black Community Program. He speaks so well. I disagree with him on so many points. I still encourage him. I've asked him many times on social media, even though he bashes me, and it's okay, I don't take it emotionally. I've encouraged him to come to the panel show, just to come and speak. I'm also happy to have a debate with him. If we do have a debate, I'd like to get like a really strong mediator. Maybe a Dr. Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh, maybe someone like a Dr. Ongama Mtimka, maybe a Mighty Jamie, to come and mediate that debate. For me to debate him, not from me coming from defending white people, side white people. I don't defend capitalism and those things. I'm coming just from I have issues with your vision and how you think it's going to play out and what you think is going to work and what you think is not going to work. That's all. That's really all it is. And then maybe some of my solutions. Things like what I said, building something like an AfriForum under BLF. Things like what has been done with the state-owned land and the tribal land. Things like focusing on public infrastructure and how can we make it sexier and better functioning. Why are we not focusing on black skills? Making sure our basic education, our tertiary education has got a deep, deep focus on agriculture, small and large scale, a big focus on mining and mining services, a big focus on financial services, a big focus on technology. This includes manufacturing as well, and getting young black kids, including colored and Indian kids, and of course not leaving out white kids, but a focus on the black kids and getting these skills so that if you give a black kid 10 hectares, 1 hectare, 1,000 hectares, they're already ready to work. Then the next step becomes how do we unlock the PIC, the National Empowerment Fund, the NEF, Small Enterprise Funding Agency, CFA, our banks. How do we unlock them to give funding to these people because they already have the skills so that they can get the equipment and the resources to build these juggernauts? They're already there. The skills are there. Because you give someone a country to run like the ANC and they fuck it up because they don't have the skills. So those are the issues we have. And I get angry with the DA constantly inflaming black people with utterings by John Steenhuisen, which are undertone racist, but it's like they don't hear it or they maybe don't care. And it's okay. I'm going to shut this down here. I've been speaking for like an hour. I just want to read some of your comments. I'm not going to respond to them, but I'm going to read them so that they are going to be captured in this video because they won't be in the comments when this video gets uploaded. Khutso Matlamela. So now that Jacob Zuma has his own party, is he too still getting the presidential benefits? Manyanani, Shwatika. It would be a downgrade. I guess this is about Zuma becoming an MP. Leaked thoughts. Always love hearing your thoughts. Penuel, the black pen. Let's see here. Klibo takes. I think it's Klibo takes. Black pen. Do you think the DA is good for the Western Cape? Leaked thoughts. I think the Guptas did nothing wrong. They just chose to eat from the wrong plate. If we talk Guptas, let's talk about Bidvest. Let's see here. Cairo, godpen, are prisoners allowed to vote? The short answer is I think it's a yes. Khutso Matlamela, this guy is actually the South African Andrew Tate. He's well spoken and he does stutter. Maybe he doesn't stutter. I think he's talking about me. Respect. Kliko talks, huge difference between Black Pen and Andrew Tate. Leaked thoughts, yes, the 4 unions of South Africa. Khutso Matlamela, I know I was referring to how well spoken they both are. Rude Boy is always on my platforms and on my shows. I appreciate him very much. Big Bro, Dinsang. Let's keep on. Live in Wisdom, 80% majority and consumer base, but can't support and build our own. Lol. Linda Wutlek Bega sends a peace sign. Live in wisdom until we realize who we are, we will always be second class. Efficient realities, penalism 2030. Rude Boy, I'm spawning right now, but big ups, teach these folks. Ms. K. Marsha, so much substance, so much knowledge. Young South African men should aspire to be of this kind, in arms to make South Africa great again and to bring back meaningful connections amongst our people. Not really sure what I was saying. Ms. K. Marsha, penalism is a force to be reckoned with. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Tiamo Morio, I see you. Land of the Sheep, is it naive to believe that the plan could have worked? Was it naive to believe that that was the actual plan and it was on behalf of the people? Land of the Sheep, Malema said on Good Hope, Cape Radio, using public hospitals is equivalent to committing suicide. Laughing emoji. Derek Farnicki, 90% of students are in NSFAS pen and the remaining 10% is shared between bursaries and self-funded students who come from well-off backgrounds. Thank you for that. TL, I'm so glad to catch you live. Still waiting for you to load your vodcast onto Spotify. That's something that's on my to-do list. TL, have you ever received death threats? You're so brave to say people's names. Garrett Cliff discussed you on his show yesterday. He holds you in high regard. I hold Garrett Cliff in high regard as well. And I look forward to some of the collaboration and the work that him and I will be doing. We clash on certain opinions about this country, politically, etc. But he's a brilliant mind and he genuinely cares about making South Africa great. What is black though? What is black though? Case you were not raised by a pure black parent. Please don't speak for us. I don't know if that was meant at me. Dean Haystack, ANC is the party of the people, but the people haven't rocked up at the party. What a comment. Mthokozisi Siyathemba Zibani. You're right on a lot of things, but unfortunately you're talking South Africa. Too much greed, there's no black unity, it's a myth. Too much bloodshed. Dean Haystack, the ministers are partying hard while the people turn a blind eye. Accountability. Dean Haystack goes on to say, I don't care who runs the country. Unless accountability is implemented, the dogs are free to pick their, I don't know, pick or lick their own balls. Or pick their own balls, maybe. Pablo, stop whining, pen, laughing emoji. They said they didn't get into power to be poor. KJ Causa, you can't trust Julius in all fairness. He is not consistent in what he stands for. Pablo, it was Yeltsin. Yeah, Boris Yeltsin, before Vladimir Putin. Penson Lodger, my brother, what's up, homie? The journey. He says Boris Yeltsin was before Vladimir Putin. Thank you. Mohales Sydney, Libya. Penal, look at the current situation between the ANC and Boy Mamabolo. Boy says being an MP is the only source of income. It's about him and not serving the people. Luando Christopher Manelli. What if they don't want to eat but want to help and fix our country? Tabang Khabong. A debate with you and Andy would be beneficial to many, but he refuses to engage you. He says you are an agent of Stellenbosch. Unfortunately, that is true. And it is true that he doesn't want to engage me. It's not true that I'm an agent of Stellenbosch. Shit. I'd be rich, boy. That's us. Patrick Vianello. I argue all the rich, i.e. super rich, are all connected, irrelevant of race. Whether rich politicians or businessmen or just businessmen, after all, they fund all these parties, which is very true. I mean, Patrice Motsepe funds the EFF. Tualo B, competence is key, whether it's a capitalist system or a socialist system. Nhlanhla Khoza, on Madiba, I believe that there were rich people who funded him. His life, health, travel, he is the only president in the country with the key. Nhlanhla Khoza, even his wife or his widow had the same benefit. Patrick Vianello, at Nhlanhla Khoza for sure. How did he get out of jail and suddenly live in mansions plus a lot more cash? Simamgele Ngalo. Penn always has good and very powerful ideas to transform our country. Brother, I'm so sad you didn't come to Paul or Battle when you were in Cape Town. I was in Paul last year for the Paul Gymnasium versus Paul Boys High Derby. Who knows? Maybe I'll be there again this year. It's the biggest schoolboy rugby derby in the world. 22,000 to 25,000 people watching. Ridiculous. Nhlanhla Khoza at Patrick Vianello. Remember, there were negotiations that took place. His approach to this freedom, he didn't include revenge. That let people who were to lose stay rich. And out of small fees, they gave. Simamgelo Ngalo. You once mentioned that you have a WhatsApp group for discussions, bro. I would like to subscribe there. But now, how do we get admitted? You can DM me on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, at godpenuel. And then I'll send you a link to the WhatsApp group. Luando Christopher Manelli, Godpen. Love your commentary on issues that we face. However, I do feel like sometimes you have an unconscious bias on some issues. And that's probably true. And that's why you guys in the comments get to challenge me and share your views on these things. You have a heavy existential crisis. The burden of existence is really taking a strain on you. Read some Albert Camus. I'm not sure what that is about, but that is a comment nonetheless. Lamar Nukeri, who are you voting for? I've said before, I would like Gayton McKenzie in Parliament. Therefore, I'm voting for the Patriotic Alliance. However, I do not support the Patriotic Alliance, and I'm not aware of any of their other leaders outside of Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Gnene. Okay, and then the last comment is from Likwalo Lisiana. Open on Candace Owen and those people, in inverted commas, firing her. Sipo Mahlangu, the nation is confused. My country seems to have no direction. Please tell us what is your view in this. Too many political parties. So yeah, I'll end it there. I think that's the last comment. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch up with you guys soon. And again, please go and check SMWX, the platform by Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh. Brilliant sit down with Andile Mngxitama of the BLF, Black First, Land First, who is currently endorsing and supporting Jacob Zuma's Umkhonto Wesizwe party. Congrats to Jacob Zuma, who will be allowed to contest, to be contesting, and we'll see how that goes. Penuel the Black Pay, maybe last point, Bonkosi Khanyile has been removed as the coordinator of the Youth League for Umkhonto Wesizwe. He'll now just be an ordinary youth member of Umkhonto Wesizwe. There might be some tea and some drama around that. But yeah, look forward to hearing some of your comments and thoughts around some of these things. Got a few more political sit-downs to do before the 29th of May that I'm hoping you guys will see. And I think during May, I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting down and making videos, just discussing manifestos, discussing the political systems, discussing alternatives to politics, and discussing some of my personal views. Listen to Dan Corda, he's a brilliant voice. Listen to Sisu Zetu Qola. If I'm not mistaken, I think her surname is Uqola, Gqola, if I'm not mistaken. Brilliant voice. Of course, Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh. Dr. Ongam Timka is pretty brilliant. Gogo Opri Machikri, Lukhona Mguni. A couple of other people are putting out really, really brilliant thoughts around politics, the political system, etc. I can't wait till the elections are done. I'd love to have conversations about so many other things outside of politics. Going to be pushing for the penuelism community branches. We're setting up a website. I set up a Facebook page yesterday. I want to be creating other platforms. I want people to be focused on building and developing their communities in the best ways possible. That is going to be the future for me. The 4th of May, if I'm not mistaken. 4th of May, I'm in Dainfern at the Dainfern, I think it's the golf club, golf estate, Dainfern in Fourways in Johannesburg. I'm going to be unpacking the major parties' manifestos there, highlighting some of the things that I think are important, sharing some of my personal thoughts, and allowing for a Q&A. The people that are hosting it are charging 380 Rand a ticket. You can go to quicket.co.za to get a ticket. It includes a very, very yummy breakfast, so I'm told. Please come through, let's engage, let's learn, let's talk. And then maybe soon thereafter, I'm going to be starting to make a lot of videos around manifestos, around some of the conduct of the political parties, and some of my views, along with my opinions on who people should vote for, why, and why certain people shouldn't vote as well. So yeah, Lamar Nukeri, since you're an avid reader, have you read the American bill concerning South African relations? I know some people were sharing this on social media, that this is something to be concerned about. Penuel the Black Pen, have a great and blessed day further. I am out.